فنان كوكي فنان. انا بعت لهم
كيفكن الليلة؟
Oh! Yay!
He's very excited to be talking in front of you. He hasn't done an in-conversation like that in a very long time. We are going to be talking about his career from the beginning till now. He's a wonderful interview, Will. I've interviewed him so many times in my career, and he's always so gracious with what he says. So let's please sit down and listen to a great conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Thank you.
We're going to start with the reel, and then I'll introduce him to the stage.
سيل.
مش عايزة تطلب حاجة لحد بعد.
Smith! Or as they say, in 1 second. It was anticlimactic, but I can do it again. The very, very beloved, multi-talented, award-winning superstar Will Smith.
You're the man, Will. You're the man, Will. Big Willie.
Thank you. How are you? There you go. Oh, well, we got the stick. Hold on, the stick is good. All right, there we go. That's very cool. All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Get it jiggy with it, Will. Get it jiggy with it.
طيب انا ما نعرف الطريقه
Welcome, Will.
If you sit down.
Yes.
Oh,
Shukran, shukran.
welcome to Jeddah.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I love you. I love you.
Oh,
You look good. He always looks good. He always looks the same, by the way. I've been interviewing him for many years.
Yeah, I know.
It's like
I'm trying to hang
in
on.
Hollywood. We don't age in Hollywood.
I'm trying to hang on.
Get it jiggy with it.
Yes, sir. No.
Okay, we're going to start from the beginning and the retrospect moment. Have you always thought that you'd have a career as a performer?
You know, as a child, my mother always says, she showed me probably about 15 years ago, my mother, she was digitizing all of the family pictures. So she had all the old pictures, so she was getting them digitized. So she had about 50 pictures of the family laid out. And she said, look at all of the pictures. Do you notice anything? And I'm looking at the pictures, you know, and I was like, no. She said, notice that there's not a single picture where you're not looking directly at the camera.
Wow.
She said, every other family member, you know, you look at family pictures and your uncle's doing this, looking down, you know, somebody gets caught looking down. She was like, you always knew that where the camera was, and when the camera came up, you would, you know, so there's a thing I always enjoyed being in front of the camera. As a child, I loved and still love when people feel good, right? So it's like such an important thing to me in a room that the energy of the room, I want people to feel good, right? So if I have to sing or I have to dance, you know. So that's like it's always been a thing. So
You have that great energy about it.
yeah, I live off of that energy of excitement and enthusiasm and inspiration, and I like how it feels to tell someone a story and they give their attention, and then when you get to the end of the story, there's the joyful release. So it's been something that I've loved my entire life, and then it's a natural part of me, and it became the energy of my desire to perform.
Do you remember a light bulb moment or an age where you thought, okay, it's much more than a desire. This is a profession for me. It's something I want to pursue.
I think the first time I heard Rapper's Delight, and it was like 1978, 79 that the first rap record ever came out. And I don't know what happens, you know, art forms have a way of doing that, but when I first heard that rap record, I just knew I wanted to do that. And you know, it wasn't even, you know, nobody could make a living as a rapper at the time. But I knew I wanted to do whatever that art form was in front of people. And you know, rap music was the first real entertainment that captured my desire.
Do you remember thinking that you may do something else, like growing up? Did you think I'm going to be a lawyer one day, or that never really crossed your mind?
The king, yeah.
Easy profession, you know.
I thought I would have a kingdom. No, you know what? It's really funny. I've always been good at math and science, and I was absolutely certain I was going to be a scientist. I knew the way that my mind works is kind of like a physicist. I always think in terms of measuring and how things come together, and I love figuring things out. Like I love puzzles. I love problems. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So I started making my own problems. You know, life is going too good. I need some problems. You know,
Math problem.
yes. No, so
Scientifically solved.
Scientifically, no. So I love the process of figuring out how to make something work. You know, I always loved taking radios apart and things like that. I had a brief period where dinosaurs were the thing. I fell in love with the, you know, physical, material history and science. And then when I heard Rapper's Delight, I think that's when it really shifted for me. And it wasn't until I was prepared in 1986 I released my first record. And it was, you know, a small record in Philadelphia. I grew up in Philadelphia. And West Philadelphia. Yeah. Born and raised, you know. On the playground is where I spent most of my days. No, but it was when I was coming out of high school, that was the fork in the road for my life, and I had to decide, was I going to go to college for computer engineering, or was I going to pursue my music career? And it wasn't even it was difficult because my parents wanted me to go to college, but I knew I would never be happy if I didn't pursue the performing. I just loved it too much. You can watch children, and so it's interesting. Okay, I did the film King Richard about Venus and Serena.
We've all seen it.
Yeah. So there was a part that we didn't get to put into the movie, and Richard Williams knew that he was going to, 2 years before they were born, he said he was going to make the #1 and #2 tennis players of all time.
Yeah, that's scary.
2 years before they were born. So what he said when Venus was born, he put a tennis racket, he put a book, and a series of other things. And she was 4 months old. And he said he put the things down in front of her, and the first 2 things she touched was a book and a tennis racket.
Wow.
And he said that he took that as a sign from God that her education in tennis was what he was going to concentrate on.
That's a beautiful
Yeah, it was
story.
really beautiful. We didn't put that in the movie. I'm gonna steal that for another movie.
Yeah, exactly. And you can still play a scientist. I think you have played a scientist.
Yes.
Sci-fi.
Robert Neville.
Yes.
In I Am Legend. I played a
Exactly.
scientist.
Yes. And there were dinosaurs.
And then we got kind of dinosaurs. Yeah, little zombie saurs.
You like them.
Yeah.
What did you used to watch growing up? Who were your screen idols? You go to the cinema and now we watch Will Smith on the big screen, right? We all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can clap. We can give this a great energy.
Yeah, Wild Wild West. Yeah, no, that was when we put that one to the side. I've done better.
And it remains a very watched film,
Yeah, no,
doesn't matter how you feel about it, people like it.
That's really strange. Like with the Men in Black. See, to me, I feel like Men in Black is one of the best.
Yeah, we're coming. Men in Black is of course on the list. But what you were watching?
What was I watching? So, one of my first cinematic experiences were Bruce Lee movies. Yeah, just seeing Bruce Lee movies was you come out and you're kicking in the theater, and I loved how he was bigger than life, but I love how he created energy that you walked around with out in the streets, and you went home and everything, and you were acting out the sequences, and you wanted to flip, and the level of inspiration that can come from this screen. I knew that very young. I was also very attuned to energy in that way, and I knew I wanted to do that. Not necessarily the acting part at the time, but the feeling that Bruce Lee was able to create. I knew I wanted to learn how to create that in hearts and minds.
Was it the first time you'd realized that actually movies had an impact on life? It was not just the escapism of being in the big screening room, that actually you take it on with you and it influences your life?
My understanding of the power of cinema grew, right? So I recognized it as a tool for inspirational energy. And it really wasn't until later in my career that I understood the real power to change hearts and minds. That you can depict situations, and you can depict people and historical circumstances, and you can inspire people to learn and to grow and to change. And the power to brighten our world through storytelling really came around Pursuit of Happiness and Ali were the first times I was like, whoa, it's more than just that it's more than just entertainment, that it actually can touch people's lives in a way that they're able to change their personal environment and expand that power out to changing their communities and changing the world.
Yeah, that's true. And I will come back to those two films specifically a little bit later. I want to start with the entertainment action part because we love those films as well. And Bad Boys, you were already quite successful with Bad Boys. But there was something about the first one and Martin Lawrence and that chemistry. Did you realize it was going to go all over the world? I mean, at some point when it's that successful, it becomes the overwhelmingness of being a global superstar. Was that the first time that it was really that?
That was, when we made Bad Boys, I didn't realize, first off, the power of collaboration, right? So that was the first time that I learned that Martin and I together, it wasn't 1 + 1 = 2. It was 1 + 1 = 10, right? So the power of collaboration is exponential. And that was one of the things I saw in Bad Boys.
Global phenomenon.
A global phenomenon. So I had made music, so I had traveled the world a little, but it wasn't, it was soon after that, there was a story I tell about Arnold Schwarzenegger was the first person to really explain it to me. So, I knew that traveling was important. I knew that going to other countries and seeing people was important. But I asked Arnold, I said, hey, listen, I want to do what you're doing. And I know you can know. What advice would you give me? I said, I want to be the biggest movie star in the world. And he said, if you want to be the biggest movie star in the world, your movies cannot only be popular in America. You have to go to every country in the world. You have to meet the people. You have to see the people. If your film is only successful in America, you are not a movie star.
That's a great impersonation. And he was right.
He was right, and it really opened my mind to realize how much bigger the world is than just America, America is a gigantic country, and, many Americans, we spend our entire life living and dying without ever leaving the country. And so for me, right after Bad Boys I made it a point to really get out and just see how differently people think and create and feel than the confines of the American borders.
And it was about that time where international box office kind of overcame the US box office and became all the more important, even more important.
Yeah.
And then you started doing the sequels because Bad Boys was so successful, and all of a sudden you're going to do the fourth one. There's a fourth Bad Boy coming. So also, decades apart, we're not talking about a couple of years of an experience. This has kind of informed some steps of your career.
Yes, we almost finished it. We're shooting a Bad Boys 4, and it was a reunion with Martin, and it was 30 years ago that we made the first one, right? So
and you look the same.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it, just a little, only the finest juices and berries, the finest juices and berries.
You have a great, hairstylist.
To be able to come back together with Martin, and what I realized, what happens is people grow up with the movies. Right? So it's like we're growing up together, and we come together with the movies, and it's almost a relationship that gets created when you make that many films over that much time. Because in the beginning I was against sequels until Bad Boys 2, and I just saw the energy that comes around it, and that realization that it's a relationship. You're cultivating a relationship with the people that go to see the films.
You do the sequels for the fans. They want more. You have to do more. You know, that's the nature of a sequel.
And my thing with the sequel is I refuse to make one just to make a sequel. I'm always trying to figure out what is the elevation of the character, what is the new idea, what is the change that will match the changes in our lives. I want the character to grow and learn and expand as we're learning and growing and expanding in our lives, to be able to not just make it because it would be cool to make a sequel, to be able to make it because there's something new to say and there's something new to share.
And with the right tone, you know, it was always important in the Bad Boys film. It's action, but you've got this, you know, self-deprecating humor that you know, is so fun and refreshing. And at the time, you're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, those action movies brought a breath of fresh air in terms of the comedy element, right?
Yeah, it was. You know, with Bad Boys, what we wanted to do that was unique is you usually don't laugh that hard in an action movie, right? So it's hard to sustain the seriousness of the action, but also get big, giant laughs. Sometimes when you're laughing that hard, it breaks the seriousness of the reality that you need for the action. So it was, you know, it's a really delicate balance to be able to span that much emotional landscape, that much of the spectrum. And Men in Black kind of did that too. It's very rare that you can laugh that hard in a special effects movie, and one tends to break the other every once in a while.
And that was the follow-up film, Men in Black. Who loves Men in Black? And I'll tell you why you love it so much, because it helped you not only stretch the acting exercise and the comedic one, but also the musical one. All of a sudden, it was 360. It was like, you know, all your energetic talents in one project, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really the first realization that I could use everything that I was around a single project. I got to learn as an actor sitting across from Tommy Lee Jones, who is just a brilliant Tommy is, I worked with Tommy Lee Jones and Gene Hackman.
Yes.
And those two actors were people, you know, where I sat across in the scene, realizing I was totally outmatched, you know, and they inspired me to, you know, to elevate my craft as an actor. But Tommy Lee Jones, too, you know, Tommy Lee Jones and Aliens and me, and then I was able to do music around it, like being able to use everything that I am in a single project.
What inspired the song? The iconic song.
You know, so I hadn't done that before. So my music career was kind of getting smashed by my acting career, you know. So I was
to do something.
I know I was quickly becoming just an actor, and I wanted to be able to continue the rapping. But I knew I was a better actor, and I knew I would be a better actor than I ever would be a rapper. But I loved it, and it was just the perfect opportunity to do both. And I just remember one night that when the idea hit me, and what was so great is the movie just laid out what the song needed to be. So it was, you know, it wasn't like I had to make it up. I just laid out what the story was, and it's you know, my career has become an exploration of myself, right? Where you get to try things and you get to experiment, and sometimes y'all like it and sometimes you don't. But it's a beautiful way of getting to know who I am and being able to craft how I want to be in the world, you know. And it's like the characters teach me about myself, and the characters teach me about life, and they help me hone my contribution to humanity.
Oh, that's beautiful. Do you remember this time as being greatly creative, especially the times of Men in Black, because you were kind of so busy with all your arts and crafts?
Yeah, it was so it's funny. So the creative time for me was before my career took off, right? So when I had hours and hours a day to hone my craft. And then once things started, I felt like I had less and less time to actually hone the creativity. So the periods between the projects tended to be more creative for me, whereas once the project is out and going and you're working 16 hours a day and you're doing that, I find that those are generally less creative times, and my mind needs space, right? You need things to happen. You need, life to happen, and you have babies, and you go and you break your leg, and you have to go to the hospital, and you meet people, and you need life to happen in order to find creative juices.
True. I want to speak about Hitch because I love that film. And we were in Hawaii for it, so I loved it even more.
Exactly.
But it was rom-com, and it was probably new to you at the time. But how much did you feel that it was a genre for you as soon as you stepped in it? Because it had so much art and comedy and everything at the same time. And I'll never forget that pharmacy scene where you have like the allergic reaction.
So a fun trivia about the pharmacy scene. So that the allergic reaction was, I'm actually deathly allergic to bees. So when I was young, I had been stung by a bee, and that's what my face looked like. And my mother had a picture of me from when my eyes were closing and being stung by a bee. So that was kind of based on how my face actually looked at one time in my life. So it was. So
your mom has a photo for
my mother has the real Hitch photo. But yeah, so that kind of comedy. What I discovered on that film is there's nothing above love as a concept for a movie. If you any movie you've ever enjoyed, love is at the center of it, right? It's like we're all trying to figure out how to relate with one another in this world in a way that we will uplift one another and that we'll be able to harmonize with one another. And on Hitch, I realized it's like, oh wow, even Hitch's relationship with Kevin James it feels like a loving relationship. You have a guy who's in love with a girl, and then he meets a guy who is willing to sacrifice to help him find love. And it really opened my mind to love, or the absence of love, as the central human theme, and absolutely the central cinematic theme, that every song or every movie, every piece of entertainment that you've ever appreciated, it either highlights the power of love or the tragedy of the absence of love. And so when I started thinking about films in that way and started looking at how all of the relationships between the characters are illustrating some deep yearning for love or the suffering of the absence of love, I started being able to hone my characters and my films in a way that would resonate globally, right? When you center on love, you no longer need language. You know, you can watch Pursuit of Happiness with the sound down, and that yearning and that struggle to be a loving father, and the eyes of a loving son looking at his father, trusting him to make it go right. Like that is absolutely universal. So yeah.
Does it mean that you have good instinct about what's going to work and what isn't, or sometimes you think a movie's going to be, you know, very well received and it isn't, or the other way around?
Well, generally, all of my movies are really, really well received.
That's absolutely right.
That's a joke.
But here they are.
It's true, but it's a joke.
Like one question.
No, you know, so I'm a studier, right? So the important thing for me in life is that I continually learn. So I am a kind of an amateur religious historian buff. So I've studied the stories that last for thousands of years. And at the core of stories that last for thousands of years is human suffering and a character who is suffering and sets out in the world to achieve the thing that he or she believes will end their suffering. Yes. Right? So that is really basic, really simple. You know, I say to the people that I'm working with, when you're starting with a story, you think of it as one of two phrases. One, somebody wants something badly and they go for it against all odds, or somebody falls in a hole and they spend the movie trying to get out. And at the end of the movie, they get out of the hole, and that's a happy ending, or they end in the hole and that's a tragedy, right? So I would say, yes, I have good instincts, but it's more, I think, scientifically about what are we saying to people? What is the point of this movie? And you know, you look at something like, I've done it well sometimes and not well others, but something like King Richard, the central line of King Richard for me in the development is when he said, nobody ever had no respect for Richard Williams. They ain't never had no respect for Richard Williams, but they gonna respect y'all, right? Like, that's the whole center of it. A father who feels like the world has not given him any respect, and the world beats on him and puts him down and calls him names, but he is devoting his life to making sure the world doesn't treat his children like that, right? It's like,
it's the synopsis.
yes, you know, and it's like, it's so, you have to start from something that is universally relatable and something that is emotional. And that's the thing. It has to be, people have to relate emotionally from the seed of the idea. And when you tap into the emotion and the suffering in the seed of the idea, then you can start to grow. You know, if you start from, yo, wouldn't it be cool? Like, you know, imagine aliens came, you know, and then they blew up like a building, you know. It's like, well, okay, but like bring back up a little bit. Let's start with the people at the center of it that are affected. What's the suffering of the people at the center of it? And then the cool thing happens. And, you know, it's easy to miss, but it's, you know, movies are about people trying to figure out how to be here without being miserable, you know. And,
engaging.
And yes, how to be okay with life, how to not just survive, it's how to thrive in this collective potential existential tragedy that we've all been dropped into. How do we make joy and love out of that? And I like finding characters and walking them through that journey.
And after the huge blockbuster sensations that, you know, the likes of Hitch and Men in Black and Bad Boys, you started pursuing other horizons of roles.
Yes.
And you know how it is in Hollywood, like around September we start watching movies.
Yeah.
And we start, you know, getting what we call award buzz.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden with Pursuit of Happiness and Ali, Will Smith was in the award buzz for the first time in your career. How did you feel at the time, you know? The Fresh Prince had become an award-nominated star.
For me, the thing, I always hated when I would hear people say, oh, those are the blockbusters, but these are the good movies. It's like, well, no.
Not true.
You know, so the thing for me was I wanted to make good movies that were blockbusters, right? Or blockbusters that were good movies, you know? And the Pursuit of Happiness was a real accomplishment for me in that realm. You know, in terms of global success, the Pursuit of Happiness made as much as Hitch, right? So people attached to the story to me, the concept of blockbuster is your heart, right? A blockbuster is the block that gets busted is your heart. Does your heart open to the experience of the movie? And that was the thing that I always wanted to concentrate on. There's like a fine line. And even with something like I Am Legend, I wanted to be able, can you give a real performance at the center of a special effects movie? And so for me, that started to be my concentration, to like dig as deeply into myself as a performer, to touch people in a way that you might not necessarily see that level of concentration on performance in a movie with zombies.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I'm Legend, yes. Yes, I'm Legend too. Actually, I have a call with Michael B. Jordan tomorrow. Yeah, we have a really cool. The script just came in. I'm probably giving them too much information. Yeah, the script.
Well, there'll be more than you in the film.
I know. Yeah, no, we're both Michael B. Jordan and I. We're using on the you have to be a real I Am Legend buff, but in the first one, in the theatrical version, my character died. And everybody's like, well, wait a minute, how he gonna make a part 2 of his character? But on the DVD, there was an alternate version of the ending of the movie where my character lived.
Mid-credit scene.
Yeah. So it was like, so we're going with the mythology of the DVD version where my character lived. And I can't tell you anymore, but Michael B. Jordan is in, and we're doing it. Yeah.
To Pursuit of Happiness, I was sobbing uncontrollably in that film. Because,
imagine how I felt.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, you know, with family in it.
Yes,
I mean, it's just, heart-wrenching.
So how with Pursuit of Happiness, how we prepared is Chris Gardner was there with me, and he walked me through the streets that he had slept on with his son. So I walked with him through the streets, and he took me to the bathroom that he had to spend the night in with his son. And he said, I want you to just have some time in there by yourself. And I went in
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Here's my trailer and
cappuccino. And I stood in that bathroom, and it was a dirty subway bathroom, and I just burst into tears standing in that bathroom. And then ultimately when we shot the scene, I was doing it with my son. So it was my actual son laying on my lap in the bathroom. And
that was a tough film to make.
Yeah, it was really, really tough. And I grew as an actor from Pursuit of Happiness. It's like all the characters, as an actor, you're kind of bending your mind a a little bit to play these characters. And it can be dangerous, you know, but you bend your mind a little bit and it never totally goes away. It kind of, characters can register in your mind as actual experiences. It stays in your psyche as an actual experience, and you have to be really careful. You know, you can have nightmares, and you can have all kinds of things that happen if you go too deeply into a character. And I've done that once or twice in my life where I've gone too far, and it can twist you up a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough, you know.
Yeah.
Also, when it's a true story, it's tough because,
Yeah.
you know, you spoke about King Richard, and we talk about Ali,
Ali,
you know,
yes.
it was a legend that you were portraying. I mean, do you find those stories more engaging, not only for you as an actor, but also the responsibility towards the audience? I mean, is it a different kind of responsibility when they're real?
You know, it's a very, very different situation when you make a movie, and it happened to me by mistake. I didn't realize it. When you make a movie about someone who's alive, one day you're going to be sitting in a movie theater and they're going to watch it for the first time. And I remember I was sitting behind Muhammad Ali while he's watching, and I'm sitting there and the movie starts, and I was like, oh no. I said, this was really dumb. And I'm sitting there and I am terrified sitting behind Ali, and he's watching the movie, and he looks, and you know, midway through the movie, he's not giving me anything, he's not looking back. I'm like, well, you know I'm back here. And so he's watching the movie.
He snubbed you.
Yeah, I know. And he looks over at his wife midway through, and he says, was I that crazy?
You've done your research?
Yeah, she said yes. And he looked back and he said, you almost pretty enough to play me.
That's a great story.
But yeah, you know, the family, and what's different when you make a movie about someone who's alive, you totally lose any concern other than the family has to love it. Right? You're like, oh, if the person you portray doesn't like it, it's like a year of your life that you've given and they hate it, you know. So it's like I've been blessed that all of the subjects of my true stories have appreciated my depictions.
Sometimes I do the exercise of like looking into someone's career and then suggesting a genre for them to do. Like Christopher Nolan, I'm like, the next movie should be a romantic comedy, Christopher Nolan. It should be something a little bit lighter.
I don't know.
I know.
I think he might want to stay in his genre, you know? It's like a Chris Nolan romantic comedy. It's like, I love you, even though you're not real.
Exactly.
In 4K. No, that would be fun, because it's always surprising. Like, you have artists who do a certain thing, and then they have a surprising well that people don't know about. Yeah, so that I'm joking, but I think that, you know, it would be interesting to see Christopher Nolan step outside of that.
But you've done it all. You know, we spoke about I Am Legend, it's sci-fi. You've done the anti-hero, superhero in Hancock, which I absolutely love. And then there was Aladdin, you know. You played the genie as well. I mean, is there a genre you feel you haven't done? I couldn't find one in my research. And is there a genre you're more comfortable in, or you like to do them all?
You know, I've moved around a lot. I think my natural home is comedy. Like where if a script comes in, and you know, like working with Martin Lawrence in Bad Boys, I know I'm gonna have a good time. It's gonna be fun every day. We're trying to come up with the silliest things that we can say and do on camera. So working on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that's like the best job.
And the series, like you've produced a series
We
about
definitely
it.
produced the series of the dramatic version of it. But comedy is like, you know, you have great days at work when you make comedy.
The crew's laughing.
Yeah, everybody's laughing, and you know, it's like, It's a great way to make a living. What happens with drama is you grow, right? So when you play a drama and you have to study and you learn about a character, and when you have to go deep within yourself and find something that you don't naturally understand, you have to do a dialect, you have to find a new body, right? So for example, for King Richard, Richard Williams, in trying to understand his body and his movement, right? So he stands.
And fashion choices.
And his fashion choices, yeah. When he stands and he talks, they say, hold on now, hold 1 second. Now, with all due respect, I understand the things you trying to say, right? And like everything within his body has an arch forward, right? And it's because of the physical injuries that his body has. And it's funny. Oh, actually, Pierce is my barber. And what Pierce suggested, I don't know if you remember today, and it clicked. He said, think of it as a shopping cart, right? And Richard Williams, I was like, yes, that idea. How he walks is like he's pushing a shopping cart, right? Right. So what happened is, as an actor, you get that idea, and then what happens is, how you hold your neck, and then how you look at people's. And then how you talk and all of that, you have a new body, right? So if I was okay to be able to find a new body, this don't look nothing like Will Smith. When you look at this, none of this positioning is how Will Smith talk. This ain't how Will Smith look. And things like this is how I make y'all feel like it ain't Will Smith for a few minutes. So it's like finding things like that. It can be terrifying because you don't know, is that going to be too much, right? So if you do it too much, then you see, that's just Will acting, right? So you have to find that spot where it's enough that it's authentic and you suspend disbelief, but if you go too far, it's like an actor overdoing it. So you have to find that right balance. So as an actor going into drama and finding those things is like terrifying, but when you hit it right, it's beautiful.
That was beautiful. Is there anything you absolutely still want to do? I mean, you produce a lot. You told me earlier that you'd like to teach, which I thought was super interesting. So, directing perhaps, I mean, so much talent in you. Anything you absolutely want to do?
A movie with Denzel Washington.
A movie with Denzel, yes. Yeah. A movie with Denzel Washington in Saudi.
I am fully available. Give me some acting lessons, and then I'm all game.
Yes.
In Al Ula, in Maraya.
In Al Ula, yes, exactly. I think that right now, the thing I'm really excited about is the transfer of knowledge. I really want to teach. I really want to teach filmmaking. I want to work with people on big movies. And, so what's exciting to me about Saudi is it's a brand new film community. So it's brand new filmmakers, and there's a style of global storytelling that I've traveled the world, and I understand tiny little adjustments that make things global, right? To be able to take local stories and make them global. So I'm excited to travel the world and collaborate and be able to teach and build global storytelling community. I have a deep faith in the power of sharing our stories with one another to help heal wounds, to help learn about each other. So I feel like this next phase of my life is going to be working in global collaboration to create an exchange of our stories that that creates bridges. And I just don't feel like politics will necessarily create the change. So I'm putting the burden on myself and on global artists to create the change.
I always say that, look at talents, and talents bring the word forward in the positive energy that it needs. I completely
Absolutely.
agree, and I look forward to you being more present with us in the region.
Absolutely. I love it here. I love it. Somebody gotta tell me where my house needs to be. Y'all gotta tell me where my house needs to be.
Egypt.
Now you're gonna make the territory.
I know, right?
No Egypt, no Jordan, no Saudi, or everywhere. You're a citizen
Exactly.
of the world. Okay, more than favorite directors, do you feel like you had mentors throughout your career?
Yeah, I think Quincy Jones has probably been the most prevalent in my life. And Quincy has always made himself available. There was business things that Quincy was always available for, but more importantly, he was paying attention to my life, right? So Quincy was always, there and around when my children were born, and
He's so present,
Yeah,
this man.
yeah.
He's got this energy.
Yeah, Quincy loves people, and that's another thing. It's like, he never forgets your birthday, and he knows when your kid graduates from high school. It's like, oh, it's Quincy, know all that stuff. But he's always been very, very present. He wants me to win as a human. He's devoted to me as a human, not just as an artist. And he's really taught me and inspired me the way that I want to be available to the next generation.
Have you encountered that a lot in the industry? Like, people want to inspire other people, and do you feel also that you want to mentor yourself?
Yeah, it's I was talking about the transfer of knowledge is so important. You can do it by yourself, and for the most part, you have to provide the energy for it by yourself. But somebody knows the short route to where you want to go, and it's really important to find the people who know, and make friends and offer your services to the people who know. It's like you're ultimately, if you're devoted to your dream, you'll ultimately make your way there. It's just a little bit easier when you have an elder who understands and is willing to spend time to teach.
Sharing
and
experience.
yes, to share the experience. You're going to make mistakes. I've made tons of my own mistakes, and we all make mistakes, right? But it's really to have somebody to call is huge. Everybody doesn't have somebody to call, and I have been blessed that I've always had somebody to call that was willing to help.
My last theme is about fame, because you are this unique type of movie star whose energy is 360. Your fans love you, and you make them feel that you love them back. How important has that always been for you, and how surprised are you? You once told me a great story about being in a field in Africa, and a woman recognized you, and she might have not seen a film in her life.
That I was very surprised. We were in Mozambique. And we were 100 miles outside of a major city, and there was a woman washing her clothes in a river. There was no electricity for 100 miles, and she's washing her clothes for the river. We were shooting Ali, and we were shooting a piece of a scene, and I walked by, and she doesn't even look back. She's washing, and she says, "Getting jiggy with it." It's like, how do you know? But no, it's a really unique. Fame is a unique monster, and you have to be really. I've had to be really careful. You can't get excited when everybody is saying good things about you, because the more you take when people are saying good things about you, the more hurt you're going to be when people are saying bad things about you. True. Right? You know what I've experienced. You know, in my adversities of the last couple of years, is I have to be clear about who I am and what I am attempting to do in the world. And I can't need others to applaud for me to stay focused on my mission. I have always wanted to put good into the world. I have always wanted to make people smile. I have always been devoted to the process of joy and inspiration, and you know, I want you to feel good. Right? I am here because in my deepest heart, I want you to feel good. You know, and at the same time, I am deeply human, and my virtue is not yet perfected. And I am in the process of perfecting my virtue. So one of the I would say the greatest thing that has happened is I have been deeply humbled and deeply inspired to perfect my light. And that's what this next phase of my life is going to be, perfecting and shining my light as brightly as I can on as many people as I can.
And you absolutely. How much love to Will Smith?
Oh, it's over?
I can't believe it's over. It's been an hour. I told you.
That was fast. That was fast.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Is there anything we didn't cover? Oh, right here.
I don't think we have time for questions.
No, it'll be cool. We have time for a couple.
Habibi.
Oh, you have a question? Yes. Hold on. Let me see. We'll do a couple. Hold on.
Very inspired by your character Aladdin, and I'm making a movie. I'm an executive producer, or that movie is based on a genie. So I want to attract your energy also. So I want to present the logo of my upcoming movie. Here is. It's for you.
Oh, that is beautiful. What's the movie called?
It's called Umru Aya, A New Beginning. It's a folk character.
Say it again.
Umru Aya, A New Beginning.
Okay, I'm going to have to write that down. So, but this is, and you're from Pakistan?
Yeah, I'm from Pakistan.
Pakistan.
So I invite you to visit Pakistan.
Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you. Is it on the right way?
Yeah.
It's on the right way. All right, here, let's get a picture. Hold on. All right. Hey, sorry. Okay. All right. It's been great. Thank you.
Come back, please. Come back.
Oh, I've got to come back to you.
We
Okay,
just skip right
I'm going to take a picture. Okay.
Please say hi to South Africa,
All right.
Will.
First of all, welcome to Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. I need to get past. I need to get past. Sorry.
Of course, they want to be in Hollywood. There's any legal way, platform for them to go and apply, or there's another only, like they just have to go forward, like through the people.
Here's what I can tell you. what's happening in Saudi is gigantic. It's gigantic. Stay in Saudi and build your community here. Yes, right.
أنا قاعدة hardly, of course. But of course, today I just want to say, I have been attending the events. It's been 3 days, but today I got fire from you. Like I can feel the inspiration inside me. like something is like I can feel the goosebumps. Like you're really friendly talking to the people and giving them chance. And the energy I got from you is amazing. So thank you very much.
I travel this world for a living. What's happening here in Saudi in terms of film and entertainment is unmatched. It's like in the next 3 to 5 years, what you'll be able to do here as a filmmaker will match every place on earth.
Sorry.
Yes.
You're on top of me. You're on top of me.
أنا فين أقعد؟ فين أقعد؟ واقف طيب كلميهم
That was the release.
هنا محلي أنا أرجع ورا
So you know somebody has crushed.
I know, right?
Okay, guys, a final round of applause for the awesome Will Smith and this awesome